Like, I'm going to sell my bike today, and as I'm doing this, I just thought that I saw very few commuter bike reveals for Fiido D11. And here's Fiido D11. You can just flip. So the bike's still pretty full, like pretty intact, right? And I'm going to sell it because, well, I have another one, right? And that one is kind of optimized for my body and is a like big mountain bike style. In other words, if I keep this one, it would be just letting it go rust, and it's such a waste because it's very nice bike, right? So yeah, so this bike here, what we have is some changes that I did made on this seat, right? So first I will talk about the changes here, like what I did to improve the bike and why I did those changes, right? The first change I did was this seat here. I bought a cushion for putting over the seat because the seat from Fiido D11 is just like horrible. It will hurt your butt, like it's not good, right? So buy Fiido D11, just buy a nice seat. You don't need to replace the entire seat, just like replace the upper part. You can buy pretty cheap on AliExpress, I think. If you look at here, I just bought a basket here, the way you can see on the picture in the video. And then the reason I bought the basket is because, well, let's say you want to take the chains from the bike and put somewhere. It's very inconvenient to always put the chains inside of your bag, right? And if you're buying this bike and you're a commuter and if you're a student, then most likely you don't have like money to buy also another motorbike, right? So what I'm talking is you still gotta use this bike for besides commuting, going to the market, right? Because you need to buy some goods, anyway, the daily stuff that you need to get, right? So now let's go to the specs here. So here we got the Shimano gear changer, so you get like seven gear changers, and here is like it's pretty good, yeah. Only that, like, sometimes when you're like riding let's say faster, like when you're riding like on this ultimate, like this last one, it gets a little bit well, it doesn't happen now. It happened like around 4 or 5 times within like 6 months, so it's pretty okay. That like this chain get out of the axis, so you need to take with your hand and put it back on the place so that you can keep on biking, right? That's why you always carry a glove with you if you're using this bike, and also you put the glove over there, right? Because if it gets like dirty with the, I don't know how it's called, I think it's the wax, you can just leave it there and don't get your bag things, personal things dirty, right? Anyway, here you change the gears, and there's the motor, and the brake is excellent, right? Something I must say about the brake is although it is actually excellent, it does have some issues sometimes. Like the adjustment of this kind of brake is pretty hard because it is adjusted on a different kind of frame because of this motor, right? It kind of makes it not as what the usual brakes would be. In other words, when you're going to make this on the right position, you're going to spend a pretty good time. So always bring those tools. This one, the hexagonal one, I don't know, the one that goes over here, what is the name of that stuff? Like the L-shaped tool, you know? And then you just put this on the right position, right? That will be the major issue that will happen, because if you ride for long times, like after maybe 3 months, there will be like a squeaky sound that appears in this back part, but it's nothing to worry, right? This is just something that you can adjust with the tool and putting this back part on the right position, right? Don't bother taking it to the shop that you bought the bike if you did buy it in a local shop, because it's just a waste of time. They do it very slowly either as well, so just get used to and do it yourself. Another thing that I must say is, well, this thing here, it does work as expected, right? It's bike feet. But if you're riding, this thing touches there, right? So let's suppose you're going backwards and you didn't put this stuff upwards. That means that you're going to make a few marks on this feet very soon, but that's not really an issue. So if you don't bother that, then nothing to worry here. All right. Okay, let's talk about now the modes here. I think they're very well built. They don't have anymore the modification that you saw. I don't know if you like this bike, probably you researched it on the internet and you saw that you can actually change the max speed. That was for the previous version. The newer versions, they don't have that, so you cannot really change out your max speed, which is actually fine because, you know, I actually like pedaling more than using the battery. The battery is more like when I'm with my knees hurting or something like that. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, something very interesting about folding bikes is they are foldable, right? So yeah, it does work as expected. They do fold. Like you just need to like open this stuff and then okay, there you go. You can open it, right? And put it back. I know I'm making sounds and all, but it's not heavy. It's just because I'm really with bad position and holding my phone, so it makes things harder. The bike is actually pretty light. You can carry like with your one hand. Going to the other side because there is the gear here. Like see, like this. So it's actually okay. Something obvious, but something that I must say is always carry like a spare tire with you, right? Because there was one time that the tire went flat and I had to go to the mechanic to change it, right? And this is the kind of thing that you should have the tools by yourself to change, because honestly the bike shops, they don't really know much about e-bikes, and when you reach for them they assume that it's just a normal bike. And what happened with my own experience is that the guy who took this out simply broke my brake disc, right? And then when I went to the actual shop that I bought my bike, I had to buy a new disc brake, which is not very nice. But just learn to do that yourself or go to the actual shop, because otherwise it's going to be a little bit annoying. Like they usually have no idea how to fix that. So usual bike shops are not well trained to fix e-bikes. So if you don't have an e-bike like shop nearby you or someone who can deal with this kind of stuff, you need to learn by yourself. That's what I did about the brakes, and that's what I did about that. Like the adjustment of the wheel, the same, right? So you need to learn those things by yourself. That goes by watching videos, seeing references of guys like what I'm telling you right now. I think they kind of do the same, and they also explain you stuff like how to fix the brakes, right? Oh, now let's go about this. This here is just the light of the bike, right? Just pretty obvious, but let's turn it on. You will see that, I mean, it's daylight, but the light is very weak. So it's more like to say, oh, there is a light, than actually giving a light, right? When you are driving at night, it won't make your path really clear, but it's better than nothing, and it exists, right? About the rear light, this one over here, it does work, it does exist, but it's very small, right? So like I recommend you to take another light and attach maybe to your bag when you're riding, so that you can alert the drivers behind you when you're driving. That will be very helpful for everyone, right? Okay, seat adjustment. You can adjust the seat height, obviously. I recommend putting higher. It makes my knee feels better. I put around 25 or 24.5. That's like the good height for, let's say, someone who is 180 tall. And this thing, I recommend you to put it on, because it puts on a limit here of how far you can go with the seat, right? Because if you hit here, you risk breaking the bike, and the insurance or the coverage of the bike shop doesn't cover that. So just to be safe, buy one of those plastic rubbers and leave it there. It's just around like 20. It will be around like less than $2, I guess. Yeah, probably around that. Okay, okay, throttle. This stuff here, it works. Well, let's see. Let's just press it here. So yeah, it is a throttle and it works as expected. But what some people don't understand is that e-bikes are bikes. They are not motorbikes, right? They are made for people who likes bikes, but well, maybe want to keep that on a regular basis, and well, the motor can help you to keep it constant or maybe go further than what you usually would be able to. They are not replacements for motorbikes. So if you are a guy that just came here and say, oh, I like a motorbike, a bike because it looks nice, and then I want to get it so that I look sporty while I just go lazy to work, that's not going to happen. You are going to sweat, right? Even if you go like small distance, you are going to sweat, especially because you put your bag in your back, right? So your back is always going to be sweat. And there is a trend with the bikes, and that's something that I researched a lot. Unless you buy like those big style mountain bikes or those big style, I don't think they're road bikes, only mountain bikes. Most of the bikes that have a really decent price range are the foldable bikes, but they're going towards a trend that is trying to look like motorbikes. If you look at that, you will see that the seats don't have adjustment anymore. Most of the seats are kind of a flat piece of thing that looks like looks like a motorbike. It's like Super 73 or the other models of Fiido. The tendency right now is that the seat is going, like the seat adjustment is going gone. In other words, the pedaling assistance is going, the pedaling part of the bike is going lower and lower, and e-bikes are going towards a path that looks like a motorbike. Okay, now that's just maybe me complaining, but I hope that some people think that too and think about those issues if they buy a bike thinking about doing sports, because you must think about your knees. And if you actually are buying a bike for sport and not for just looking nice with the motor, then I think this one is nice, like really cool. You can adjust the seat heights, you can feel very good with the knees. There are basically no knee pain in long term, right? And I think it's like really good. Like if you buy a bike, even if it's not this one, pay attention to the things that makes this an e-bike, right? What makes this a bike actually? First, seats should be adjustable. Second, look at this distance from this part here to here. Do you see that there's a like decent distance? Well, it doesn't look much, but if you compare with the small folding bikes that you can buy, like maybe for I don't know the price in dollars, but anyway, it's pretty cheap. It's like kind of half price of this stuff. I went to the shop and I was considering buying those because they seemed like they could do the job, but they couldn't, because if you're tall, your knee is going to hit this part here. So it's very bad, like when you're pedaling, your knee will hit with the smaller bikes. In other words, if you're tall, the smaller bike that you can buy and the most affordable bike that you can buy is this one. Okay, there are other models of iFrigo that I saw. They seem to be also capable, but this one just looks way nicer and it looks more trustworthy. Like I never saw like many brands of iFrigo, but Fiido seems more stable and reliable, right? So I really recommend this one. Okay, overall, if I were to say something that I would like to improve in this bike, it would be that this part here, you cannot adjust the height. In other words, this height here is constant. You cannot make it taller or shorter, right? So that's kind of complicated if you're taller, because you have a certain inclination to like towards the front, like which is not really a big deal, but something that I would like to see as a change. And maybe that pedal over there, I would make it like a little bit behind or in other place so that it wouldn't be like hit with the pedal. And that's pretty much it. One extra thing that I want to tell you is that the bike is indeed foldable, but if you bought those accessories and you bought this, it makes things harder because you must put a seat inside and you must fold like this stuff outside, like you actually fold the bike, and that makes things a little bit inconvenient to be foldable, right? There was one time that I was like really tired and I went to take the bus with this bike. I just folded it and just carried it inside the bus, and it was like, it felt cool, like I'm taking a bike instead of a bus, but it was pretty hard to carry everything, and I was like struggling to hold the stuff and the bike. So it's something to keep in mind. Other thing that I would recommend you to think is like, if you're a guy that actually, or girl, whatever, that actually maintain your bike weekly, you should put some lubricant on the chains, right? And also on this area here. When you do that, if you happen to make a taxi drive or maybe put on the back of your car, you must be careful, be aware that this part is still a bike component, so it is oily, of course, and it might get things dirty. So if you're going to put this on the back of a car, just cover it with some kind of like put an old shirt or something like that. That will help you to protect your car, okay? And also protect your bike, right? If there are collisions, this part is really fragile. One thing that I also must comment with you is that, well, this thing here sometimes get the wrong adjustment after you went on a trip carrying your bike on the back of the car, right? Sometimes it kind of gets the thing a little bit on a different position and you must adjust it later. So just keep in mind that it is not that portable. You can put on the back of the car for sure. You can make a trip from point A to point B, but it's not guaranteed that everything will be on the right position when you get back to riding. Maybe you have a few adjustments, right? Not a big deal, just a few adjustments in this back part here, but just be aware. Extra information here, I just remember, like this speed indicator shows the wrong speed of the wheel. So it will show you like you're 25 kilometers per hour when you're actually 22, or anyway, it's just different from what it really is running. So when you're riding, just be aware that you're riding slower than what appears here, right? And it is locked on 25 kilometers per hour. So when you're going downhill and you're around your 30 kilometers per hour, or maybe more than that, that is not going to be recorded in your like speed meter. That's a little bit annoying because I like to know my speed so that I can control better, but just like be more careful as soon as you surpass 25 kilometers per hour. Like usually when I saw like the recordings on my phone and I surpassed like the 25 mark, I would be around 27 to 30. Yeah. Just like one important comment here that it didn't happen with me because I always use the pedal mostly for my biking, and then only the energy when I was like super tired or things like that. I heard from another biker using the same model that I had. I met him on the street and I was just curious about his bike problems, and we just ended up talking there, and he actually broke his motor when he went uphill using the throttle. I mean, it looks very obvious, right? But there's no actual manual that comes with the bike saying don't use the throttle too much. Maybe there is, but anyway, the point is no one usually reads that stuff, and that stuff is actually really important. And if you're going uphill, use at most mode number 2. Never use the throttle to go like uphill. It will destroy your motor very quick, right? So just use the pedal to go uphill. If you want to use the throttle because it feels nice, I agree, it does feel nice. Use like on plain places, right? And just don't use downhill. What is the point of using a throttle downhill? Just plain places, and you will be fine with that. right? So just don't destroy your motor, and good luck. Well, that concludes the review of Fiido D11. I hope it helped you to make your buying decision. Again, I really reinforce that I really recommend this bike if you're just like starting with e-bikes, right? I moved to a big one, that's true, but I wouldn't be able to use it if I didn't buy this one before, because there's a lot of things about e-bikes that you kind of have to learn by experience. And if you just go to buy like really nicer one and just like on the beginning, you won't even know how it works. Like you will be like very like, it won't be good. It's just like trying to kill a mosquito with a cannon, you know? Like it's not what you need at the beginning. So I think like if you're starting with e-bikes, like this is a great choice. And yeah, good luck with our purchases, and I hope you'll like my review.